Nothing like a little controversy for an exhibition event, but that's exactly what we had last weekend at NASCAR's All-Star Race. Race leader Kyle Busch suffered the dreaded flat tire that NASCAR has been dealing with all season, which ultimately killed our entire betting card as Ross Chastain used Kyle Busch as a launching pad and then crashed into Chase Elliott as he tried to go around him. Whatever. The betting card was thrown away, and it was an all-star race, so that's why we didn't go too heavy. Let's move on. We're headed to Charlotte and the Coca-Cola 600. Starting the betting card off with rookie Austin Cindric to top 10 at plus 155. Cindric performed really well at 1.5s and at similar type tracks in the Xfinity Series, finishing third and second at Charlotte his last 2 trips here, and having an average finish of 5.5 in the last 11 races at Texas, Kansas, and Las Vegas. He, along with the entire Penske team, is driving a lot better the last 2 weeks. He finished third at the All-Star race and 11th at Kansas, and he's qualified top 5 at both Las Vegas and Kansas this season. If he follows suit and does so at this track, these odds should definitely drop inside that even mark, making this a great value ahead of qualifying. Next on our card this week is our driver matchup, and that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at minus 112 over Austin Dillon. Ricky Bobby Stenhouse Jr. is trying for his 4th consecutive top 10 of the season, while Austin Dillon has finished inside this mark just once over his last 3 races. Stenhouse finished 21st to Dillon's 11th at Las Vegas earlier this year, but it was Stenhouse who was the better car, leading a couple of laps late in the race, only to have received a late pit row penalty forcing him to the rear at one of the last restarts. Dillon has 2 top 10s in his last 3 races at Charlotte, with Stenhouse only 1. However, Stenhouse seems to stay on track, having run all but 3 laps the last 10 times here, while Austin Dillon has crashed or had car issues, not completing the entire race in 3 occurrences, finishing outside the top 30 in all of those. Moving on to my outright pick of the race, I'm going with the controversy stirrer himself, Denny Hamlin at plus 950. Denny Hamlin finished runner-up at the All-Star race to Ryan Blaney, and he's been really good at the 1.5s this year, finishing 4th at Kansas, and prior to crashing at Las Vegas, was actually the fastest car on track, leading 31 laps. His last 2 trips to Charlotte have resulted in 2nd and 7th place finishes, and it's actually Denny's best 1.5 on the NASCAR schedule with an average finish of 12.3, and he's due for a win here, with it being only one of 2 tracks on the schedule that he has ran 20 or more times, and he has never won at. Moving on to my best bet for the Coca-Cola 600, I'm going back to a very familiar name, and that's Christopher Bell to top 10 at minus 135. He's been the qualifying master at the 1.5s this year, qualifying on pole at both Las Vegas and Kansas, finishing 10th at Sin City and 5th in Kansas. He's actually qualified 9th or better in 9 of the last 11 races, and finished 7th or better in 6 of the last 8 races heading into this Sunday. He had a 9th place finish at this 600 a couple of years ago, and this is my favorite value bet ahead of qualifying, as this will probably plummet closer to 1 to 2 if he qualifies like he has been doing. If you're liking these NASCAR videos, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for every NASCAR video re-release. And if you want to tail or fade any of these picks, make sure you head to FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000.